The history of boxing has been riddled with many cases of manipulation and controversy. So while we don't appreciate hearing the usual excuses such as, I was injured or my opponent just got lucky, we do have to call out some of the factors that can have significant influence on a fight. The history of Canelo's scorecards has been fishy in some fights, which he lost or should have lost, like the 114-114 in the Mayweather fight and the 118-110 in the first Triple G fight. It's also been unreasonable even in fights he arguably won, like the 117-111 in the Lara fight, which many saw as a draw or it could have gone either way, but 9 rounds to 3 is just insane. And then there was the Austin Trout fight, which Canelo clearly won, but it was a competitive battle, yet one judge gave him a lopsided 118-109. That's 10 rounds to 2. We're not suggesting any justification for these wild scorecards, but we will explain why and how these scorecards came to be. It was the payroll and institutions that were hedging their bets on the future face of boxing. As in, the financial institutions placed a buffer among the judges to lean one way while leaving the other two as the fair arbiters. This was because the people backing Canelo were investing in his future and did not want to let him lose. In each and every one of these fights, Canelo's handlers, Golden Boy at the time, had the significant power and influence in order to make this happen, because they helped to prepare the fights to begin with. In this clash between Canelo and Crawford, some people may argue that Crawford will not be able to win a fair decision. And I understand the sentiment, but I must explain why it may actually be on the flip side. This matchup is unlike any other in Canelo's career. Take notice that ever since the second Triple G fight in 2018, the only instance of a questionable scorecard in Canelo's favor came from the Dimitri Bivol fight, where every judge scored it 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Bivol, which was closer than it should have been. But the right guy still won, and he won unanimously. This wasn't insane compared to anything that I mentioned, which happened before 2018. In my opinion, that fight was 9 to 3 rounds. So 8 to 4, still reasonable. 7 to 5, a little too close. Canelo left Golden Boy by 2020. And that's been the only scorecard that's been off the mark since. In this Crawford fight, Canelo may be the bigger name, but nobody on Canelo's team is truly financing or even preparing the fight. The main sponsor is Riyadh Season and Turki Al Sheikh, who has taken a specific interest in Crawford. It's promoted also by TKO and Dana White, who is also Turkey's guy. So in fact, the money and the power for this fight is not backing Canelo. It's backing Crawford. While Canelo still has enough influence to negotiate glove weight, ring size, and even his payout, even he recognizes that Crawford is Turkey's guy. This is why Canelo said in their press conference,
And I know Turkey is in your corner,
I promise you.
look, it's going to be very difficult. He's going to be so mad that day. Believe me.
so don't just take my word for it. Canelo recognizes it, and so does Crawford, based on his reaction. In fact, in their press conference, Turkey complained about being sat at Canelo's table and said he wanted to sit next to Crawford. Why?
Turkey, the floor is yours, sir.
I don't know why they put me here. I want to be in the side of Crawford.
Is he looking to play footsie with this dude? Or give him a hand jibber under the table? Why would Turkey be saying these things so shamelessly? And consider the additional evidence that Turkey has promised Bud Crawford since at least 2024, August, that he would get him Canelo, giving him plenty of time to prepare and negate the weight difference. Meanwhile, Canelo has faced 2 opponents in the interim. Let's not forget the Shiraz versus Adames fight, where Turkey cooked up the scorecards to produce a draw to keep his boy Shiraz's undefeated record intact, even though he clearly lost. Let's also not forget the Ben Whitaker versus Liam Cameron debacle, where Whitaker gave up, threw himself over the ropes at the end of round 5, and somehow the judges scored 6 rounds of the fight as a draw. But they never even made it to the 6th round. All 3 judges conveniently made this error to keep Whitaker's hype intact. So Turkey's moral high ground is definitely not above rigging some scorecards. So what could happen if it goes to a decision? This is not to favor any guy by saying if, because you don't need to KO your opponent to get a stoppage. Anybody can be stopped from body punches, be knocked down from being out of position, or be TKO'd from cuts or even swelling. In conclusion, this is a true 50-50 fight, and as a boxing fan, I must address it in a way that I have not seen anybody else do so. As of this moment, it seems that only the bookies swing in favor of Canelo, with odds dramatically different from the Charlo fight, who also jumped from 154. However, analysts and professionals actually swing slightly towards Crawford's side. Considering all the evidence presented, ask yourself, who do the odds actually favor?